So ladies, here were my two choices for today. I could either create a worksheet. It would take me 3 hours to do, and it wouldn't hold a huge amount of value for you, or I could just video myself, and then you could just pretend that I'm actually there. I really did consider FaceTiming into class, but I wasn't really sure what was going to be happening here at home. So I'm at home, William's sick, again, or still, one of the two. And I can't be with you today, but that is not going to stop us from starting Macbeth. So right now you have your desks clear of everything except for your book, your pens, your color pencils, your colored pens, post-it notes are going to become very, very important to us. And the nice thing about this is that then you've got this video that will be posted on Schoology for a while, so you can always go back and look at it. So a few key things that I want to show you within your book. Page 45, I think, is always an important page to mark. It's your character list. So it's very helpful for when we are coming back to things or trying to figure out who's who in the play and how are they related, etc. But on page 47, this is where we begin with Act 1, Scene 1. Now we know that the first scene of the first act is always the inciting moment, according to Freytag's structure of tragedy. So this is really where the action begins, kind of the catalyst for a lot of the drama that's going to happen. You remember in Romeo and Juliet, the inciting moment was, of course, the street fight between the Montagues and the Capulets. But here, it is the scene with the witches. Now, Shakespeare doesn't always give us a huge amount of stage direction, but he does for Act 1, Scene 1. He tells us, thunder and lightning enter 3 witches. Now, thunder and lightning are things that happen when we have storms. And you all have experienced thunderstorms. Some of you may really enjoy them. Thunderstorms are symbolically typically things that bring about chaos, that bring about destruction. And so it's from these elements that the witches come in. So immediately Shakespeare's creating this connection between the witches and this idea of chaos and destruction. So they enter onto the stage. The first witch says, "When shall we 3 meet again?" And of course that word again is really important, because if they're meeting again, that means that they've met previously. And they're planning when their next meeting is going to be. And she continued, in thunder, lightning, or in rain. And again, those 3 nature elements, again, take us back to the idea of a storm, of the chaotic nature of weather. The second witch says, when the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. Now that's our first example of an antithesis. And you've just taken your pre-assessment on antithesis. So we know that an antithesis is something, a sentence that seems like it can't be true, and yet it is. So how in the world can a battle be both lost and won? Well, because in a battle, there's always a winner. There's always a loser. We don't always see it in that way, though, that in every competition there's somebody who wins, there's somebody who loses. Typically when we think of a battle, we only think of, this is going to happen. But the witches acknowledge this when the battle's both lost and won. So our first example of antithesis here. And the next witch says, that will be ere the set of sun. That will be before the setting of the sun. Now, most battles don't happen with soldiers going out onto the field and going, yep, this will be over by 7 o'clock. We never know when a battle is going to be done. So the fact that this witch says, you know what, this battle will be over before the setting of sun, lets us know that they have knowledge that maybe they shouldn't have. Why do they have, knowledge of this battle? How does that make them seem? How does that make them appear to us? Where the place upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. Now, this is just a life lesson from Mrs. Hudson. But if a witch knows you by your first name, it's bad news. So they know Macbeth, or at least they know of him. They know his name, and they say that they're going to go meet with him. And again, in our minds, that connects the witches with Macbeth. Before we even see him, these two things are now connected. And so then we say, anon, I come grey malkin, paddock calls. And then we have the best example of antithesis, and it's almost a thematic statement for the play. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Now, if we take that apart a little bit, when we think of fair, we think of something being just or something being equal. Maybe your mind goes to Snow White and the evil queen, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all. But it has a positive connotation. It's something good. And then when we think of foul, we think of something rotten or disgusting. For me, for some reason, foul always has like an olfactory sense. Like if something's foul, it smells bad. But it's a negative connotation, something bad. But the witches seem to say, fair is foul, good is bad. And foul is fair, and bad is good. How in the world can that be? How can good be bad and bad be good? Well, we don't know the answer right now, but we're curious. We want to understand that a little bit more. And then we get that line, hover through the fog and filthy air. And I think that word fog is rather important, because when we think of fog, we think of things being uncertain. We think of things not being able to be seen clearly. And I think that's an important word there. So now with your group, you're going to pause. You're going to talk about the mood that Shakespeare establishes throughout this scene. You're not going to use the words creepy or eerie, by the way. Okay, you're going to use stronger words than that. And then you're going to tell me what lines in the text lead you to this mood, what creates it. And then you're going to go and you're going to watch the first scene of the movie. Now, the witches are weird. Very, very, very weird. One has a drooling problem. And before you ask, why is that witch, acting in that way? Why is she doing that? There's only one answer to that question. Because she's a witch. Why is the witch acting weird? Because she's a witch. Why is the witch doing that? Because she's a witch. Why is she drooling? That's so gross. What's wrong with her? She's a witch. Okay, so that's the only answer to any of those questions. So discuss the mood and then go watch Act 1, Scene 1, and then, I'll be back.